Kind of learned helplessness in design culture I've never fully understood. And it's fair to say that learned helplessness is something that a lot of people experience. But I see it in design culture, I see it in the roots, and it bubbles up more when there's more pressure that designers feel with the landscape. And so things like, is design dead? Design is dead. Oh no, we have to reset and start over. Is it all over? These things come up, and it's not intelligent discourse. It doesn't come from any place of real merit. And it frames the conversation in a dumb binary fashion. But we're suckers for it. We all are. I'm talking about it. So clearly it works. But I wanted to ground this conversation in some wisdom and some history to help you. And I'm going to give you 3 things to try to stop doing and 3 things to do more of. The first, about design being dead. It's helpful to remember and get some wider context that design is a verb. It's an activity. And it's an activity primarily done by lots of other professions. There are not that many people with the word design in their job title on the planet compared to all the other professions. So people are designing things all the time. It's unavoidable. It's part of being a human being trying to live. So design can't die in the widest possible sense. So when people say that, they mean something very specific. And usually we say it when we see in this small percent of the most visible and most highly paid UX designers in the tech sector in the United States, when that whole job market gets weakened or slides down, we say it's all over. And I think that's just shallow. I think it doesn't reflect history, and it doesn't frame a conversation in a useful way. So that's thing number 1. The 3 things regarding learned helplessness that I think we need to do less of are these. Number 1 is complaining. Complaining can be entirely valid. It can be entirely valid to say, my boss is stupid or my team is dysfunctional. That might be true. But complaining about it is unlikely to change anything. So complaining can serve the value of venting and getting validation, but it's not going to change anything. And that's where the learned helplessness comes into play. It doesn't change anything. And when you complain on social media, you'll have lots of other people with the same complaint. And that'll feel great. You feel validated, but then you have to go back to work the next day. And that complaint and the validation won't come with you. So it sets up almost a worse relationship with your job. Complaining. Complaining is about other people. And it's unlikely to have any effect, which is related to number 2, blaming. We blame CEOs, we blame executives, we blame product managers, we blame engineers. They don't get it. Why don't they understand? As if it's their job to do that. We are the experts. If there's something that they don't know or don't understand around our skill set, the only way they're going to learn it is probably from us or one of us or someone like me who is a loudmouth and talks about this stuff and writes books about it. They're not going to discover it on their own. Someone needs to teach them and show them. That's up to us as a community. Maybe not you, but up to us as a community to do that. We can't blame them. If a CEO fires half the design team or the project lead ignores advice from the UX team, they have a reason. They're not doing it to spite you. They have a reason. And it might even be a good reason that you haven't been curious enough to be able to see. And so complaining and blaming. And then the third one is name changing. I tried to make them rhyme. Blaming, changing, and complaining, blaming, and name changing. Name changing is something we resort to. Why? We like naming things. It's what we do as our job. We name features and methodologies. We're namers. So when we feel trapped in we'll make diagrams when we feel cornered, and we'll make new names. And a name isn't going to, sometimes a name can help if it makes someone curious and it can start a new kind of a conversation. But very quickly, you're going to be back to the same things that set you up to be unhappy. Being ignored because your value proposition, the way you explain what you do, how persuasive you are, and the quality of your ideas or the perception of the quality of your ideas is still going to be all the same. So it perpetuates this fantasy that the name will do the work for us. And it can't. It's work for us to do. And that's what I want to talk about, the 3 things to do. 3 things to do. And there's only 3 ways to look at this. Design, really, ideally, in our fantasy version, design is decision-making. To design a building or a street or a city, you, as the city designer, make the decisions. So if you feel you have complaints, you feel you're blaming people, that means you don't have a lot of power. So thing number one, find ways to get more power, become more curious about power. Who makes the decisions that you think you should be making? Why are they making them? How did they earn that? Whose respect did they earn? How are they making those decisions? Become interested in power. How do you get more of it in a preferably non-Machiavellian way, but you need more power. And sometimes these other roles have more power than design roles do. So what should you do? You could complain, won't change anything. You could blame, won't change anything. You could decide maybe you or someone on your team should go into those roles. If they're really making those design decisions and they're doing such a bad job of it, like they're doing terrible things in the name of UX, you could do a better job. You'd get paid better, you get more respect. So why not? I'm biased. That's a career change I made a long time ago, but I never understand why there are blinders around this role that you work with that frustrates you because they override you on all these UX decisions. So why not take that job? So thing number one is power. Option two, you could say, hey, I don't want to be powerful. It's stressful. I don't like people. Fine. Option number two is influence. You are an influencer with your ideas. Decisions are a social process. So be an influencer. Learn how to be more persuasive. Learn how to be better at storytelling. Be more curious about the way the people you need to influence think. Use user research skills on them. Study them. Become an influencer. Power or influence. That's kind of the only two choices. There's no other way that I found in all of my years of trying to figure this out. There is a third option, though, and the third option is acceptance. It's acceptance. Being a designer has lots of upsides. You get to work with ideas all day. Has lots of downsides. You're a creative professional. Your career is more risky than being a plumber or an auto mechanic. That's just a fact. You chose this career, you're in it, you have to accept the upsides and the downsides. And that also means recognizing that, yes, power and influence is the way ideas move through teams and organizations, and it's the way credit is granted, is through social processes. And you can acknowledge and accept you don't want to do that. And you're willing to do a work that maybe doesn't make it out the door. You're willing not to get promoted as well because that's just a trade-off that you're willing to make. And that's totally fine. I totally accept that. But to be in the learned helplessness, focusing on complaining and blaming and waiting for this whole situation to change on its own is just foolish. Because in the history of this profession, these complaints have come up perennially. 30 years ago, same complaints. This is not new, and we act like it's some new trend. This is inherent to being a creative professional in businesses and in organizations that are technologically focused, which is most of the working world. So to run through 3 things to stop doing: complaining, blaming, name changing. The 3 things to consider as the way forward. Empowered. 1, think about power and how do you get more of it in a healthy way. 2, become an influencer. Recognize your job is influencing people with your ideas. And that's a skill set you need to grow that really will define your fulfillment in your career. Or 3, acceptance. But don't get hung up on things being dead and like, that's just drama. And it's usually followed by a lot of blaming and complaining. So look out for that. Look out for blaming and complaining. I don't think that's ever really going to be the way to change things or to have a better career. That's my take on this. And if you watch this whole thing, leave me a comment, ask me a question. Maybe I got something wrong and I owe you a follow-up video. Thanks.